There's a saying, when the devil ignores you, then you know you're doing something wrong. Wait a minute, I'm not done now. You know, the devil goes, oh no, leave him alone. Hey, he's my favorite. Don't you bother him.
Yeah.
Conversely, when the devil comes at you, maybe it's because you're trying to do something right. Tyler Perry hurting black people.
Tyler Perry's about to buy BET. You don't think that's like, I'm buying it back from them selling it to
All they go do is put them Tyler Perry movies on there that paints the black man in a light.
It is possible that there isn't anything funnier than a guy in a dress. And if that's the case, then it might also be said that there's nothing funnier than a black guy in a dress.
I don't watch Tyler Perry movies. And,
now, can you tell me why? I want to know why you don't watch Tyler Perry. I want to hear your opinion on Tyler Perry.
So, this is Mega of Mike's Unleashed, and I'm just saying this is why I don't watch Tyler Perry movies. I think Tyler Perry movies are all very stereotypical when it comes to black people. He enhances the sort of the negative aspect of blacks. I do see him with some shows. I hear about it. I wasn't a fan of, the Medea character. I didn't see what all the hoopla and everything, all that the character was about, which was funny. And it didn't click to me. But when I've seen some of her, not just her, but when I see Tyler Perry shows, they're just very stereotypical. And I'm just like,
BET, Black Entertainment Television, the worst network I have ever come across. The most low down, the most dirty, the one who exploits black people the most besides Tyler Perry. Shout out to Tyler Perry for exploiting black women.
For years, the whispers stayed behind closed doors, in barbershops, family dinners, and quiet corners of the internet. People said Tyler Perry was problematic, that his films were harmful, his sets toxic, and his methods downright questionable. But no amount of think pieces or angry threads could touch a billion-dollar empire. Hollywood's most powerful black mogul looked completely untouchable. But then the tide shifted. Two legends, Denzel Washington and Samuel L. Jackson, made a silent move that shook the whole industry. They didn't blast him online or call him out in interviews. They did something louder than words. They refused to work with him. And when Denzel and Sam say no, it's never about scheduling or paychecks. It's about something much darker. Before we dive into what they found out, you gotta see the bigger picture.
A lot of stuff that's on today is coonery and buffoonery. And I know it's making a lot of money, breaking records, but we could do better. That's just my opinion. I mean, I'm a huge basketball fan, and when I watch the games on TNT, I see these two ads for these two shows, and I'm scratching my head. We got a black president. Are we going back to Mantan Moreland and sleep and eat?
This isn't just celebrity gossip. It's a full-blown clash between artistic integrity and money power. And trust me, Tyler Perry's rise to fame was anything but accidental. Tyler Perry didn't just stumble into fame. He engineered it with a formula that's been stirring drama since day one. And the first person bold enough to call him out, Spike Lee, a man who never bites his tongue, especially when it comes to black storytelling in Hollywood. What he said about Tyler had the whole industry gasping. Spike didn't just criticize his work, he called it coonery and buffoonery. And let's be real, that's one of the harshest labels you can throw around in the black community. Coming from the director of Do the Right Thing and Malcolm X, that's not just shade, that's a full-blown artistic exile. But here's the wild part. Spike said all that back in 2011, and instead of falling off, Tyler's career went crazy. More money, more movies, more studios. Hollywood couldn't stop writing him checks. So what gives? Why didn't the backlash stick? How did a man so publicly called out still walk away as one of the richest moguls in entertainment? And this next voice, it hits completely different. Not a celebrity, not some Hollywood insider, just a regular black woman finally saying out loud what so many have been thinking. And honestly, sometimes those raw, unfiltered voices cut the deepest. You could hear the pain in her words. This isn't just movie talk. This is personal. When she says, Tyler Perry despises black women. She's talking about the humiliation of seeing herself and her community portrayed in ways that make her feel ashamed. That's the real wound here, the cultural damage that money and awards can't cover up. And then
Tyler Perry hates black women, and I'm not saying allegedly because the proof is in the pudding. It is becoming more evident that Tyler only sees black women as hardworking, struggling rape victims that of course one day are going to be rescued by a blue-collared black man. After watching the trailer of his latest film, Straw, starring Taraji P. Henson, I'm a little offended. And honestly, I'm still recovering from mea culpa. He has managed to make billions of dollars off the backs of black female pain, and I'm sick of it. The media is a huge outlet for the insight of others. I partially blame the media for people's derogatory perspectives about black women worldwide. I'm not talking about the Beyoncés and Oprahs and Kerry Washingtons of the world. I'm talking about normal, everyday black women. It is dangerous to continue to depict us in such a lowbrow manner. Looking at you too, Issa Rae, one of them days, really? Where's our Legally Blonde? Where's our Pretty Woman? Well, maybe not Pretty Woman, but you know what I mean. Even in movies where we should be happy and preppy, like Bring It On, of course we have to be the mean black bully cheerleaders. Do you know what type of message that's sending to everyone else? As a black woman, I am tired of being showcased as a bottom of the barrel human being.
things took a wild turn. Remember when Cat Williams went on Club Shay Shay and basically broke the internet? He didn't just clown about the dress wearing thing, he took it way deeper, connecting Tyler Perry to something even bigger. Wait a second, did Cat just link Tyler Perry to the Illuminati? Before anyone rolls their eyes, let's slow down. Whether you believe in that stuff or not, what Cat's really pointing at is a bigger pattern, a whole machine of systematic control that goes way beyond one man in a wig.
It's not a biggest choice for others. I'm saying at the end of the day, Kevin doesn't have to worry about what people are going to say about him wearing a dress because of the long line of dress wearing people before him. So now we have Big Mama's house 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
I've never seen Medea in a pantsuit. I think she wears dresses. So now I'm saying, why are we picking on poor little Kevin Hart? Because it was his turn next.
Okay.
Some of us are against the Illuminati, and we are against the Illuminati at our own detriment. When people are against the Illuminati, then they get punched in the face all the time. The press hates them, and nobody likes them.
Cat's not just ranting, he's saying there are forces in Hollywood deciding who rises and who disappears, and certain compromises seem to come with the territory. And speaking of compromises, let's bring up someone who's been warning us for years, Dave Chappelle. The whole men in dresses conversation isn't new, but when you line up all the receipts, the pattern gets hard to ignore. Think about it. Dave walked away from $50 million rather than put on that dress. Let that sink in. $50 million in his hand, and he said no on principle. That's generational wealth he refused because he felt something wasn't right.
I'm a conspiracy theorist to a degree. Like when I connect dots that maybe shouldn't be connected, I don't know. But certain dots, like when I see that they put every black man in the movies in a dress at some point in their career, I'll be connecting them down like, wow, all these brothers gotta wear a dress. That's happened to me. I'm doing a movie with Martin.
Yeah.
The movie's going good. So I walk in a trailer. I'm like, man, this must be the wrong trailer because there's a dress in here. They come in. The writer comes in. I think he's the writer. He's like, Dave, listen, we got this hilarious scene where Martin's sneaking out of jail. So he disguises you as a... and he put this dress on and, what? The prostitute? Nah, I'm not doing that. I don't feel comfortable with that. That should have been in the discussion. What? You don't feel comfortable with it? I mean, it's a hilarious bit. All the greats have done it. So, well, if all the greats have done it, it's kind of hacky, right? You're right. So why don't we just not do it? Because I don't feel comfortable wearing a dress. Oh, come on, Dave. Listen, we got it all set up. We're supposed to shoot. Every minute you waste costs this much money. No, the pressure comes in. He said, I'm not wearing no dress, man. I'm funnier than a dress. Just give me something funny to say. I don't need to wear no dress to be funny. What am I, Milton Berle? You know, we're going like this. And then finally he's like, and he leaves. And then like the director comes, Dave, it really would be great if you wear the dress. What is wrong? What is this, Brokeback Mountain in here? So, see that? Like, wear the dress. I don't want to wear the dress. I want to wear this dress. You know what I mean? Oh gosh, that's so difficult. They leave. Now the producers come on, David would be so great. I mean, and then I started thinking about it. All the comics that I've seen, man, strong brothers, why they putting us in these dresses? But the minute it was clear, I was adamant, I'm not wearing a dress, I'm not wearing the dress. All right, fine, think of something else. That comes back 10 minutes later, the whole new scene. Hot damn, how did you write the scene so fast?
Meanwhile, Tyler Perry built an entire empire off putting black men in dresses, and now he's worth over $1 billion. That's what's wild. Dave and Kat are basically delivering the same message, just in different ways. They're both exposing a system in Hollywood that rewards certain behaviors and punishes others. And once you start seeing the pattern, it's impossible to unsee it. What they're really saying is that success in Hollywood isn't always about pure talent or grinding harder than everyone else. Sometimes it's about what you're willing to do, or in Dave's case, what you're not willing to do. And that takes us right back to the big question. Why have Denzel Washington and Samuel L. Jackson flat out refused to work with Tyler Perry? When you understand the system Dave and Kat are describing, when you remember the warning Spike Lee threw out, when you hear the pain in that woman's voice, it starts to click. This isn't just about who likes which movie or which director. This is about something way bigger, the soul of black cinema itself, and whether success is worth sacrificing your integrity. And trust me, what's coming next will make everything crystal clear. Because up until now, we've been talking about industry politics, money moves, and artistic disagreements. But what if I told you there's also a spiritual dimension to this?
There's a saying, when the devil ignores you, then you know you're doing something wrong. Wait a minute, I'm not done now. The devil goes, oh no, leave him alone. Hey, he's my favorite. Don't bother him.
Yeah.
Conversely, when the devil comes at you, maybe it's because you're trying to do something right.
What if the reason Denzel Washington won't work with Tyler Perry goes deeper than creative differences? Remember, Denzel isn't just any actor. He's Hollywood royalty with decades of respect, but he's also been very open about his faith, and that faith might just be the key to why he's staying far away. Denzel isn't just a Hollywood legend, he's a preacher's son who's never been scared to talk about good versus evil, right versus wrong. And when a man like Denzel takes a stand, you can bet there's a deep moral principle behind it. Let me show you something that will blow your mind. This is Denzel speaking about spiritual warfare, but listen closely to what he's really saying.
He was supposed to be he white woman, and they tried to electrocute him, but it didn't work.
He's basically warning that if you're comfortable in Hollywood, if nobody's attacking you, if everything's smooth sailing, that might actually be a red flag. But when the devil starts throwing punches at you, that's the sign you're doing something right. Think about that for a second. Dave Chappelle walked away from $50 million and got branded crazy. Cat Williams spoke the truth and got blacklisted. Spike Lee called out the system and got sidelined. Meanwhile, Tyler Perry keeps getting rewarded and elevated. According to Denzel's logic, who do you think is really on the right side here? But now it gets personal. It's one thing to talk about spiritual principles in theory. It's another when somebody crosses that line and personally disrespects you and your family. That's when principles turn into action. And that's exactly where this story is heading next. That's exactly what went down with Denzel, at least according to the story that's been whispered around. He's hinted that he was lined up for a role he found not just insulting, but downright dangerous. He doesn't name names outright, but the timing and the context make it pretty clear who he's pointing at. And remember, we're talking about a 2-time Oscar winner, a man with 4 decades in the game. When someone on Denzel's level calls a role disrespectful, that's a serious accusation. In Hollywood, there's an unwritten rule. A-list actors almost never turn down roles from major directors unless something is deeply off. And Tyler Perry, he's not some struggling indie filmmaker. This is a man who's built a billion-dollar empire, whose movies consistently cash out at the box office, and whose TV shows keep getting renewed. So why would Denzel Washington, a man who's worked with Spike Lee, Tony Scott, Ridley Scott, and practically everyone at the top, find Tyler Perry's offer so objectionable that he wouldn't even consider it? Well, there's a theory floating around, and honestly, when you hear it, it starts to make a lot of sense.
The people who actually own the entertainment industry, they not gonna allow Tyler Perry to make movies about black women winning in life. Cause they don't, cause the higher ups, the government, the world really don't like black women. And they wouldn't dare want black women to get inspired or... That makes so much sense, girl. You just made me think about it.
Now that's a wild perspective, right? What if Tyler Perry isn't the mastermind everyone thinks he is? What if he's just another piece on the board, trapped in the same machine, being used by people above him with real power to push certain narratives about black people? Think about it. Tyler Perry went from sleeping in his car to billionaire status practically overnight. In Hollywood, that kind of meteoric rise doesn't just happen by accident. Denzel's been in the game for 40 years. He knows the difference between organic talent and a system-backed project dressed up as a Cinderella story. So when Denzel takes a moral stand against someone, and it's not just about a script or a role, it's about spiritual discernment. And when a man who's worked with Spike Lee, Tony Scott, Ridley Scott, and countless legends calls Tyler Perry's approach disrespectful, that's a flashing red warning sign that something serious is wrong. And trust me, once you start hearing the stories from the people who've actually worked under Tyler Perry, you'll see exactly why Denzel's spiritual radar went off like an alarm. Denzel's radar was going off for a reason, because sometimes the devil really is in the details. And here's where things get real. It's one thing to debate artistic differences or throw around spiritual principles, but it's another thing entirely when you hear what it's actually like to work under Tyler Perry. I'm about to show you testimonies that will make you understand why so many people in Hollywood stay scared silent. Meet someone brave enough to break that silence. Brandon, Jay.
Meet the Browns was the most stressful and hardest thing that I've ever done in my entire life. I had no idea that Tyler Perry Studios' schedule was so drastic. If you're working on a regular network show, they take a whole week to film an episode. Tyler Perry Studios, they film an episode in one day. The character was Jeffrey, a fat high school teenager who was very intellectual, who was getting bullied at school. I take 2 to 3 days to learn the entire script. On the day of filming, first thing we do is a table read. I know all of my lines. I'm ready to go. So the director, who is Alfonso Ribeiro Carlton in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, he starts to block us, telling the actors where to go, where to stand. Mr. Perry comes in, everything changes. So we literally run the entire episode for him, and he hates it. Does that mean I have to learn a whole new script? Yes, that's what it means. Mr. Perry, on the spot, starts rewriting the entire script, and he's feeding me the lines to say, and the director is kind of standing on the side like, you better do it, because if not, they will fire you. Here is where the shoe hit the fan. So in the middle of Mr. Perry changing up the scenes, he says, you know, I want Jeffrey to be gay, and he has a crush on his bully. That's not what I auditioned for.
He's not a random internet commenter. He actually worked on Tyler Perry's productions and saw it up close. What Brandon's about to tell you might sound shocking, but remember, this is coming from someone who was there. In any normal workplace, what he describes would be called a hostile environment. But in Tyler Perry's world, apparently, that's just another Tuesday. And the psychological toll it takes on the actors and crew, it's deeper than you think. I'll let Brandon tell you himself, because his words are going to hit harder than anything I could say. And here's what really gets me about Brandon's story. He's speaking out years later because he wants the truth out there. But how many other actors went through the same nightmare and are still too scared to open their mouths? How many people are out here quietly protecting Tyler Perry's reputation because they're terrified of getting blacklisted?
I remember the person that I wanted to impress the most was Mr. Perry. I always looked up to him, and he was just sitting on the side looking at me. He was just looking at me, like waiting for me to do something. I felt like he was about to fire me. Everybody's expecting me to pull something out. They don't even let me finish the third take. They're like, cut, we need to reset. So at this time, I just kind of black out, and I get so angry and frustrated in the moment that when they call action on the fourth take, I lose it. I'm screaming, I'm yelling, I'm crying. Not because I was acting, but I was feeling those emotions because of how overwhelmed I was.
This is the part that's been bothering me about this whole saga. We've been talking about artistic criticism, spiritual concerns, and toxic workplace vibes, but there's another conversation happening in whispers. Darker allegations that people are still afraid to address head on. And that right there hits different, doesn't it? Because what this person is pointing at is a pattern. Years ago, Christian Keys tried to call out inappropriate behavior in the industry. And what happened?
I find it weird how whenever he came out, people was talking about him, people was disrespecting him. Tyler Perry was doing everything in his power to have him on mute. Now a white man is coming out, now it's more important. Oh my gosh, Tyler Perry asked him, what about Christian? Nobody's talking about Christian, are they? I genuinely find it weird how black people ignore the fact that people who are rich, black people who are rich, they get rich off of the backs of us, and we continue to support their behavior. They have money to quiet people, and we continue to support their behavior. And then years and decades later, here come the Diddy case. I don't want to hear about it because y'all have seen the things that has happened to black people, but y'all only care when it's a non-black person.
He got silenced. Nobody rallied behind him. Nobody believed him. But now, with lawsuits filed and legal documents floating around, suddenly everybody wants to act shocked, like they didn't see it coming. This is exactly how the system works. Isolate the victims, discredit their stories, and make sure nobody believes them until it's too late. But the thing about the truth, it has a way of surfacing. And when it does, it hits harder than anyone expects.
Before it started, he was already accused of doing something he shouldn't have been doing. There were rumors floating around that Tyler Perry was pressuring people to watch Netflix with him forcibly. If you don't know what that means, look in the comments. Now, this is important because rumors are how these big cases get started in the first place. If you think about Diddy, rumors for years that, Diddy was doing Diddy things. Jay-Z, before his lawsuit, rumors. Jay-Z doing this, that, and the third. Bill Cosby, they were trying to start lawsuits against him for decades, but his image was too clean. If they just jump out and say Bill Cosby did this, it's just so out of nowhere. People be like, no, Bill Cosby would never do that. And your lawsuit's gonna kind of fall by the wayside.
Once you understand the toxic workplace stories, the silenced victims, and the system built to protect power, you see it clearly. Denzel wasn't just turning down a role, he was refusing to be complicit in something much darker. That kind of moral courage is rare in Hollywood. But what's coming next is going to make it crystal clear why Tyler Perry's billion-dollar empire might finally be cracking. I need you to buckle up for this next part because we're about to get into serious allegations, and I want to be clear. These are ongoing legal matters. We're talking about alleged behavior, but the testimonies you're about to hear paint a picture that connects every single dot we've been talking about so far. Let's start with something a lot of people saw coming from miles away. For years, there have been whispers in Hollywood about Tyler Perry's behavior behind closed doors, but whispers don't hold up in court. Rumors don't trigger legal consequences. What does create consequences is when people finally step up with receipts, documentation, and sworn statements. And that's exactly what's beginning to happen now. That Netflix and chill reference might sound casual at first.
Being accused by one of their former actors, Braxton Wells, of covering up his NSA by one of their top executives. Braxton Wells is a former actor from the series Ruthless, was also featured in The Oval. Sound familiar? As you know, it was just last month that Derek Dixon sued Tyler Perry for $260 million. Well, apparently, Braxton Wells settled with Tyler Perry Studios back in October of 2024, not that long ago. He accused Tyler Perry's senior vice president of him and NSAing him. He also alleged that Mark Swinton drugged him allegedly. Mark is on the left. He's worked with Tyler Perry for multiple years, probably like 15 plus years on scripted television projects and movies. So Braxton Wells on his social media shared various videos, screenshots, and even his settlement agreement where he settled with Tyler Perry Studios, Tyler Perry and Mark in this settlement agreement, which he also signed a non-disclosure agreement. In the settlement, he received $500,000. However, $201,000 went to his legal team. However, he's claiming that he felt like he was misrepresented by his legal team. He says that Derek Dixon's attorney, he had reached out to him before the whole Derek Dixon of it all, and he refused to take his case. However, wants him to be involved in Derek's case. It should be noted that Braxton is a former Army vet, and he says there were certain things because he's a vet he should have been afforded when it comes to his rights. He also filed a police report in regards to this. He had posted, even before he posted here, he had posted before he made the settlement with his claims. He believes the attorney that represented him were in cahoots with Tyler Perry and Tyler Perry Studios. Braxton also believes, even though he signed the settlement agreement and there's a non-disclosure within the settlement agreement, he believes that it's voided because he signed that under duress. He's believing that his legal team misrepresented him. He believes that they were working with Tyler Perry's legal team against him. But here's the thing. Although people settle for a variety of different reasons, within the settlement, it does say that they do not claim Tyler Perry Studios, Mark, or Tyler Perry. They do not claim any responsibility or being guilty of what he's accusing them of. However, like I said, people settle for different reasons. I just don't understand why you would settle when your senior VP is being accused of R-ing someone. According to Braxton, he alleges that Tyler Perry and Tyler Perry Studios are covering up for a predator.
But when you're talking about a boss allegedly pressuring employees into personal situations they don't want to be in, that's not entertainment. That's workplace exploitation. And according to multiple sources, this has been going on for years. But as we all know, rumors stay rumors until somebody steps forward with evidence. And that's exactly what happened when actor Derek Dixon finally said he'd had enough.
This person was with me for years. He was claiming, that he had multiple young black men on the payroll, and they just had to show up when he requested them to be there. And clearly that's why it felt to him that it was okay to say these things. And I want to have these discussions. I want to be transparent with y'all about that. I've done my best to forgive this person, but it happens. It happens. It's not just women that have to deal with it, but it's also men sometimes. And it'll be men tempting men. And that's why a lot of my posts over the last few years have been about taking the scenic route, taking the long way around, because if that means that you can carry your integrity with you.
We're no longer talking about a few bad moments. We're talking about studio cover-up. That's not just one person's behavior. That's alleged institutional protection of misconduct. When entire studios are accused of silencing victims, you're no longer dealing with isolated incidents. You're looking at a system built on mistreatment. But here's where it gets really serious. We're not just talking about workplace exploitation anymore. We're talking about alleged sexual assault. And the person making these claims isn't some anonymous voice. He's someone who worked side by side with Tyler Perry for years. And here's what makes Christian's testimony hit so hard. He didn't just suffer quietly. He was collecting evidence the whole time. Recordings, documents, proof.
Once it started, I was like, well, I gotta protect me, because I'm saying no, and I don't want this person, as powerful as they are, to try to get in the way of my work. So I started recording. So I have them offering me money to take my clothes off. I have recordings when I wasn't working with them or for them. I have recordings of them confessing that, the other guys that they have on the payroll, all of the above. And the difference is, the wonderful thing about confidentiality agreements and non-disclosure agreements is that they can't prevent you from turning all of those things over to the police, because there's a crime. Attempt is a felony. And Tams, you literally just asked, why do we as black people have to deal with that? But sometimes it's our own people. Sometimes it's our own heroes. Sometimes it's the very people we deify. And we look up like, oh, they're doing so much. No. they're also doing this.
Receipts that could finally blow the lid off everything people have been whispering about for years. This isn't just a he said situation anymore. According to Christian Keys, there's actual evidence backing up these allegations. And when he talks about many others on the payroll, he's pointing to what looks like a systematic pattern of mistreatment involving multiple victims, not just one isolated story. Christian Keys has been trying to get this story heard for years, but nobody wanted to listen. Sound familiar? It's the same pattern we've seen before. Victims silenced, discredited, ignored, until suddenly they can't be ignored anymore. And that leads us straight to the lawsuit that's shaking up headlines right now. Actor Derek Dixon, who worked on Tyler Perry's The Oval, has filed a $260 million lawsuit. And these allegations are some of the most detailed and disturbing ever seen in a case like this.
Meet Derek Dixon, a man who's suing Tyler Perry for $260 million. Now, he's suing Tyler Perry for something called quid pro quo. Listen closely. Quid pro quo basically means if you do something for me, I do something for you. But see, a lot of times it's not that simple because there's an unspoken flip side. If you don't do this something for me, who knows what's gonna happen to you? Now let's get a little deeper into the story. Now this is all alleged, so pretend I'm saying alleged in front of anything. Okay, so Derek Dixon said, look, he's working at a party, right, as event staff. Tyler Perry's at that party. He said, oh, who that? He goes up to Derek Dixon and says, hey, you wanna be in some movies and stuff? Derek Dixon said, oh man, this is my big break. Tyler Perry must see something in me. Now, thing is, to the public, Tyler Perry is known as a really nice guy. So Derek Dixon is just automatically assuming that. So Tyler starts texting him like, hey bro, like you good? Like what's going on? Derek said, what's going on with me, man? I just be chilling. Tyler Perry said, chilling in your new car. Look outside. Derek looks outside. Derek got a new car, courtesy of Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry said, matter of fact, you trying to act, right? Derek said, yeah. Tyler Perry said, come on my new show. Derek said, man, this dude is locked in. And suddenly, Tyler Perry start texting a little weird. Sending a bunch of texts, calling all the time. Derek like, damn, slow down, broski. And Tyler start coming on a little strong, start getting a little bit inappropriate. Derek said, okay, let me just ignore this. It's all gonna go away. Tyler said, hey, come to the crib. Derek said, what? Tyler said, what? You work as event staff, right? Derek said, yeah. Tyler said, yeah, come to the crib. As event staff, bro. Come as event staff. So Derek comes to the crib. Everybody drinking, everybody having a good time. Derek drinking. Everybody leaves. Derek about to leave. Tyler says, no, you've been drinking. Derek says, yeah, that's true. Tyler says, you could just stay at my guest room. You good. Derek goes into the guest room. He don't got no pajamas, so he wears his underclothes, goes to sleep. Somebody climbs in the bed next to him. Hello, it's Tyler Perry. And you ain't heard me say it started to get wicked yet. We just getting started. Tyler Perry started grabbing on bro. Derek gets up. He says, yo, chill out, man. I don't really do that. I don't do that. Tyler says, oh, my fault. Derek said, all right, bro. Tyler said, all right, bro, I'm gonna catch you. Tyler leaves. Tyler then texts Derek. This is the next day. Tyler says, look, bro, I got a new show for you. Now, here's where the stakes get raised. Right now, Derek has got a small part in one of Tyler's smaller shows. After this incident happens, Tyler says, look, I got a bigger show for you in a bigger show. Derek says, all right, I'll do it. So Derek Dixon gets a part on Tyler Perry's show called The Oval. The whole time, Tyler Perry's still texting him, saying, see, if my friends do stuff for me, I do stuff for them. Quid pro quo, remember that. Now let's look at the flip side of quid pro quo. At the end of the season, Derek Dixon's character, who, side note, is a professional Netflix watcher who would do anything for money, that's his character gets...
We're talking about alleged quid pro quo behavior. Career advancement offered in exchange for sexual favors. And when Derek refused to play along, his character was abruptly written off the show. That's the kind of systematic power abuse that Hollywood's been covering for years, and exactly the type of toxic environment that someone like Denzel Washington refuses to even step foot in. Now, Tyler Perry's lawyers are calling all these allegations fabricated and scams. They're insisting these men are just chasing a payday from a rich and powerful mogul. But here's the thing. When multiple people come forward with similar stories, when there are consistent patterns of behavior, and when there's alleged documentation to back it up, it gets a lot harder to brush off as just a money grab. And this is exactly where Denzel's spiritual discernment, the one we talked about earlier, becomes so important. He's been in Hollywood for 40 years. He's worked with everyone. He knows the difference between a person who's just difficult to work with and someone who might be downright dangerous. So when Denzel Washington, a man known for his integrity and unshakable faith, takes a public moral stand and refuses to work with somebody, maybe we should stop and listen. Because the lawsuits, testimonies, and allegations we're seeing now, they're exactly the kind of thing people like Denzel have been warning us about for years. Not through words, but through their actions. This isn't just about Tyler Perry, it's about an entire industry that shields certain people as long as the money keeps flowing. The real question is, will justice finally be served this time? Or will Hollywood find yet another way to protect its billion-dollar asset? And if respected legends like Denzel Washington and Samuel L. Jackson have been quietly guarding their integrity all along, what does that really say about who we should be rooting for in this game? Because maybe it's not just about fame or fortune. Maybe it's about who refuses to sell their soul just to stay on top. If you made it this far, drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like, share, and subscribe button, and tell me what you think really goes on behind the scenes in Hollywood. I'll see you in the next one. Stay alert, stay curious, and as always, keep it real.